People get an idea of like what's my world like every day. So this is a Facebook text message I got earlier today. And it starts off with, hello Thomas, so-and-so said I suggest I reach out to you. My mother has small cell lung cancer and has spread to her liver. So it's another person has a terminal illness. So I probably get 10 or 20 of these a day, some days more. More recently, I've been getting a lot more stuff with autoimmune and cancer, but it could be things like, people hit by a car and every bone is broken, or a lot of bones are broken. And then I have to figure out how to get a result with this case that maybe other centers or doctors or professionals have not been able to figure out. So it puts me in touch with a lot of bright minds from all over the world. And one of the things that I notice is just how many gaps there are. So even in the same organization, so for example, Harvard, so at the same university, in the same medical program, one guy is doing something here, and another guy in the exact same program doesn't even know it's being done. So there's not really good utilization of all the resources that many institutions already have internally. So if they can't figure out their story internally, they're certainly not going to be able to integrate stuff from outside into their model as well. So because of things like visual bias. So visual bias is we are very dependent on what we see visually. About maybe 70 to 90% of the brain is occupied by what our eyes are telling us. So if our eyes say this hurts, we program ourselves to experience pain from that movement. If our eyes say we can't do it, then we program ourselves not to be able to do it. I'm going to show you some really cool stuff today. How to use that the opposite way, to actually use your eyes to get better. One of the things that I thought about after hearing some stuff, so let's say you're doing a training program, it doesn't matter if it's rehab, if it's performance enhancement or something, how do you know overall if you're getting better? How do you know if you're going in the right direction? Any suggestions? You might have some objective benchmarks, like is your vertical jump increasing, is your speed getting faster or something? But the challenge with just focusing on a benchmark is it doesn't take into account the rest of the day. And one of the things that is reported a lot in the literature, and that I've seen personally, is this concept of energy displacement. So a practical example of energy displacement is you train really hard in the morning, and now you're so tired you don't move the rest of the day. So in a 24-hour period, you burn the same number of calories, and then you wonder why you're not losing weight, right? Because there's no net change at the end of the day. So as I started looking at stuff on the web, I hear all kinds of people, so-called experts say, you have to do it this way. And they take one study out of context, out of all the millions of studies done, and they position it because they're very good writers. They position a way that that's the option. So one way of knowing if you're going in the right direction is how much spontaneous movement you have. So think about little kids. Side joke, my friends always like to bust on me and go, dude, if you were really smart, you'd figure out how to take the energy of a 5-year-old, put it in a bottle, and sell it. It's because everyone would buy that. So that we see little kids, they don't have to think to warm up. They just run and do whatever they want, like little crazy bodies. And part of it is they have the energy to do it, but the other part is they haven't really learned they can't do anything. They're just always exploring stuff. So if the end of your day involves you going home and sitting on a couch, you are programming your body to die. You should have an overall model that at the end of your day, you're still ready to move and do things. Your body shouldn't ache. You shouldn't be limiting yourself in a certain way. And when I study people's behavior, what I often see is they re-justify things. So they use new logic to justify why they don't need to do the stuff they should be doing. So an example would be a golfer's back hurts and he no longer plays golf. And he goes, oh, I don't need to do golf. I could do this other thing. Well, you might say, why not get rid of the issue with your back so you could always do golf again? Or someone says, I can't run. My knees hurts, I don't run. But I don't need to run because I could use an elliptical machine, or I could do this other tool or modality to get the energy expenditure I was looking for. So ideally, we want to be able to have the sort of fitness freedom to to do anything we want at any time of day and not feel inhibited or that we're re-justifying our strategy. So, so the concept there was productive training versus energy displacement. So the way you know overall if you're going in the right direction is not, is my 40-yard time faster, is my vertical jump higher, but do I still, while that's going on, do I still have the ability to do spontaneous movements? One of the other things I often get asked is what's the best time of day to train? And it's interesting because when I was an athlete that was competing, the way I was coached or conditioned, we would do our most explosive stuff earlier in the day. And because we're training 6 times a day, we would do some of our more endurance-oriented stuff later in the day. Part of that model is we were just exhausted. So it's easier to run slow than it was to do an explosive snatch or clean and jerk at the end of our day. At the time, I didn't really understand the concept of selection. You take a lot of strong guys and you beat the hell out of them. We call that abuse now, but back then it was called training. And you see who survives. Whoever survives at the end, those are the genetic freaks in nature that go on to the Olympics. Everyone else is already injured and out of the way. So these models today, I think more people are aware of this sort of selection and training. But 20, 30 years ago, that wasn't so obvious to many of the coaches. What I see a lot of times, particularly in women, I see women doing maybe cardio type activity in the morning. And then as a result, they're so tired the rest of the day. So I spent some time looking at the research to see what does the research tell us if I look at all the exercise time of day data. And one of the interesting things, that this may be a little bit contradictory to what people were told or heard, is one, it matters more that you exercise consistently at the same time of day versus at a given time of day. So does that make sense? So if I exercise every day at 6 p.m., that's better than going in the morning one day and in the evening another day. So the body thrives on consistency, especially time of day. It matters that if I do exercise in the morning, that I eat something first, get that digested to some extent, and then exercise afterwards. Because later in the day, my brain function is much better. So that brain function means I can answer questions and involve cognitive function, but also I can control my body's movement better. These are details no one really thinks about when you have a client in the morning and say it works out, and they haven't eaten. Maybe they do okay for that fitness session in the morning, but the rest of the day, how has that fitness session impacted the quality of movement throughout the next 23 hours or so? You're not there to see it. So when we actually study people, we record them, we monitor their behavior without their knowledge, but they consented. We see lots of weird things that pop up that they just weren't aware of. So an example would be like, if your glucose goes low and you start getting mentally fatigued, are you aware of everything going on? Usually you're spaced out, you don't know what's going on. So think about that with your clients that may be working out in the morning. So they don't necessarily need to eat a huge meal, but they have to have enough energy so that they can not only handle the demands of the workout, but they can also do the rest of their day on top of that. So that was just some things I thought I would share about stuff I had seen on the web and questions I've gotten before. So I created this thing. I guess, I don't know if people notice that I've written hundreds of books, but our model for writing the books was specific for a patient. So what happened was someone would come in and say, I have knee pain. And I would say, all right, well, here's the stuff you could do. And then they would say, there's no way I'll remember all that information. And practically, they're probably right. I mean, most people don't have the health background that are coming in. They're patients from other types of occupations. So we said, all right, we're gonna make this easier for you. So we would basically create an ebook. We would take pictures and videos and write all this stuff up. And we'd have all this different research on different things relative to knee pain. And then the next guy would come with low back pain or shoulder pain or something. And so we had this huge library of information, and it was given sort of like one off at a time. So essentially, like everyone else would need pain, would never even know this stuff was even done, because it was targeted specific to the individual, because the focus of our practice is the person in front of us right now at that instant. So what I started doing was taking a lot of different, let's say, sources of information and creating a general model. So originally it was an exercise model. This addressed a lot of limitations I saw in programming. Like clients would come in and they'd say, oh, my coach wrote this program. And I would look at it and say, well, I don't see where they address cartilage biology anyway. I don't see where they address the nervous system or some of the more contemporary things we know. So I started creating something, and many of my referrals come from coaches and trainers. So I didn't want to, I had to be very, let's say, politically correct or diplomatic in how I was handling some of the stuff, because I can't tell a patient that gets referred to me from another coach or trainer, oh, this is wrong, right? Because then that would almost be like slamming the other professional. So I had to figure out, how do I change the behavior but still make everyone get along and be happy? And so I changed the title to exercise model to eliminate pain, and the focus being on pain, because now anyone can do this under any conditioning environments. And so I'll make sure Luke can get this out to everyone. And essentially, we start off with breathing exercises. And let's see if I can get, I was told there's some, a stability ball. I was looking for that. You said you brought it right in front of me. It's like looking for peanut butter in a cabinet or something. You can't find it right in front of you. So who has...
I have a bigger one if you want.
Yeah, maybe a bigger one, please. So yesterday, was it Ian? Okay, I just want to make sure I pronounce your name correctly. Would you mind coming back up?
Very well.
Game position, alive.
That's right. I'll grab the ball. Is it okay? Oh, I know worries. So,
You know, I've been lied to my whole life.
so it's, okay.
Do you want more air?
Yeah, it might be a little bit better, but let me, what I want to show everyone is some very simple tools that you all have access to. And essentially the idea is that I want Ian's nervous system to accept that his spine has more pain-free, high-quality motion. And I'm going to be able to do that without really touching his spine, without looking at an X-ray or MRI. So what I'm saying is whatever structural damage is there will become irrelevant once I understand how his body responds. So you'll have the ability on the spot to help someone without knowing, let's say, all the details that we're commonly talked about. So first, I would say, how do you feel today?
It's not great.
Okay. So what would be your test? Your test, this test is for him to determine how he feels inside, and it's for me to observe him, and then we're comparing what we saw. I compare my observation with his inner sense of his internal body awareness, if you will.
Generally, it would kind of be, it would be basically what we did yesterday of like a good day for me is when I wake up and put on my socks and I'm like, that thing sucks so bad. That day is like, I have to bend down and I'm up here. So normally I'll just kind of test here and then come up and then it would just kind of go into extension and stand and like, okay, I feel it. On a bad day, it would be really fired up on my erectors. Then I'll be like, oh, okay, that's... And today I
so
feel
let's we'll keep it a little bit shorter, okay? So this maybe face everyone and have your feet, so basically under your hips, looks reasonable, and then just try to get them down. And for yourself, just kind of see as you go down, where do you feel any discomfort? So in other words, is it at the knee level, is it a little bit below, is it down by the feet? You know, it doesn't matter where it is. And then for everyone else that maybe could see them, probably guys more in the front, what you're looking for is how fast is he moving? And is there any, is it ratchety going down, or is it very smooth and fluid to a certain point, and then get ratchety afterwards? So you're trying to get a sense of quality of movement, and then we compare that, how did that feel? Where did you feel any discomfort?
the worst I would say is at the very bottom and then at the top here.
Okay, all right. So then, if we wanted to just like have some fun, we could do some sensory deprivation. So what this does is, remember I talked about visual bias and sensory neural function yesterday. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put on some blinders and we're gonna put some headphones on. And I'm gonna lightly tap you to start, and you're just gonna march in place. So you're gonna do, it's gonna go for about a minute. It's gonna seem much longer. And as you get done, I'm gonna lightly tap you again, okay? So put these on. Does anyone have a minute timer with them by chance? Or phone?
The clock.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Here's the sun.
And, all right. You're ready, go for it.
We all leave.
So I want you in front to see where it goes. Right? So think if this was like the start of our day, where's it going? So ideally everyone should be quiet because the sound then may give him some feedback where he's going. Doesn't look like it will though. Because,
25 seconds.
keep going.
Fifteen. 10. 5. Sorry.
Just let him go for a little longer. Okay, stay where you are and just take the headphones and the blinder off. Okay, so Ian, what's your observation?
Well, I can hear you say it, of like, I can hear something, so I knew right away that, hey, I'm moving, I'm not going straight. Do I have any perception? To me, I was gonna wind up over there.
Yeah. So here's the point that, thank you very much, by the way. You can come back here. So essentially, when we remove vision, and that's not a true removal of inner ear function, it's kind of like a pseudo removal, if you will. But essentially, he doesn't know where he's going in space, right? So think about in terms of spinal stability. If you don't have good internal awareness, how well can you stabilize any part of the body? In this case, we're thinking more spine because of low back pain. But this indicates there is sensory mismatch. So part of his brain is not reconciling the data from his eyes and his inner ear with his movement. So these are things that can be fixed. So when you fix that stuff across the board, people become better athletes. Across the board, people have less pain. Across the board, people have more energy. So I just want to make sure that everyone gets that, because what we always told about skill and speed and strength, you have to practice the same movement over and over again to get better. We're going to do things to him that have nothing to do with the specificity of the movement. And the reason why we do that, because we notice some dysfunction inside. So the assumption everyone has is that inside everything's working okay. And I can tell you when we do workshops with 200 doctors, neurologists, all 200 say there's something going on. So what happens is you break up in partners, you test each other, and the head instructor goes, how many people found something? And everyone in the group has their hand raised. So we all have stuff going on. The reason why we all have stuff going on, because we can't see it or feel it. So how would you know to correct it if you don't have a strategy in place to assess it? So what it tells us already is there's some sensory mismatch. So now, just from that, I know some other stuff I'm going to find. Just I want everyone else to see it. So first thing I'd like you to do, and I hope you don't mind me using you as a model, so I appreciate that. So there's a benefit for you at the end, okay? And it's appropriate, it's not inappropriate, right? So, damn! So what I'd like for you to do is maybe just take a step or two forward. And I'd like for you to have your feet together. Yeah, perfect, so touching. And try to stand with the hands just slightly palm out. And then what I'd like for you to do is close your eyes. And I'd like for people in the front, let's see, tell me what you see. Give it a few more seconds. That's good enough. So then, how did you feel, Ian?
I could feel the sway.
Yeah.
My big thing is I rolled this ankle, like, I guess at this point, probably like 12 weeks ago, that just standing, I can feel myself rolling to the outside of this foot. Big toe's not planted well. But to get that planted, to feel well, I actually have to actively, internally rotate, or what I feel is like internal rotation, and I have to have a lot of conscious activity through my pelvis. Like, if I'm activated here, I feel much better. Than what
So
I-
let's limit to one-word answers from now on. So, how do you feel? How about comfortable or uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable? Okay. So now, Harry, what did you see from your perspective?
He kept trying not to move to
Yeah.
to his right side.
So, in general, when you put people together, now someone like me that's is very bow-legged because I have no medial meniscus in either knee. So the biomechanical forces are my knees are going out. I can get my feet to touch, but it takes strong muscular effort to compensate. If I do certain movement patterns, I can get my legs straighter, but it's not going to hold. So we want them in basically a stance that isn't too uncomfortable to begin with. But normally people should sway a little bit, and as the cortex and cerebellum, so same side cerebellum, opposite side cortex, controlling their balance, their sway, their stability. And then they would say to go too much one way, and then the signals in the brain go, oh, too much, go back. And they go a little bit the other way. But essentially, they still stay upright, they're going to move a little bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to progressively challenge Ian, and we're going to see how does his brain communicate with the rest of his body to allow him to stabilize himself. And we're going to keep going until we see where he breaks down. So you're not going to get hurt or anything, but we need to do that to see where the dysfunction is, where is it happening inside of him. And the thing I'll share with you is the more athletic someone is, the harder this is to find. So one of the reasons why athletes are good athletes, they can compensate really well. So essentially, they can't do it one way, they're going to figure out internally how to get it done the other way. And because outside, they scored a touchdown or they hit the home run, everyone's like, wow, look at what they've done. But I want to draw your attention to the point that the focus is on external things. So nowhere, most of the clients, well not most, 100% of clients that we work with, we ask them about, has anyone worked with you as far as internal body awareness? We hear no. And the other thing is, has anyone worked with you on how to get out of pain? So right now you're in pain, you're sitting in a restaurant. What do? Most people, they got to take a drug. Or some people might take a supplement. They don't know what to do. No one's actually taking the time to show them how to get out of pain. And the same way, like if you, let's say you practice a snatch. You start out, you don't know what to do. Over a period of time, you get better. You get a better skill at doing that movement. And it could be swinging a tennis racket, a golf club, it doesn't matter. If you practice how to get out of pain, you get really good at it. To the point that you could have extreme pain, you'll figure out a movement to do 1 or 2 shoulder circles, and all of a sudden, your hip pain is gone. It requires no drugs, it requires no medication, and it is independent of the structural damage in the joint. So the damage is not going to be changed from 2 shoulder circles, but your ability to function and move and think clearly can be dramatically improved. So what we're going to do next is have you go 1 foot in front of the other, and now so on this side, so your left foot, can you have your big toe touch behind on the right heel? So like you're in line, so like, yes, like you're walking on line. So your feet, your hips are square, and can you have this heel touch that toe? There you go. So slow your forward, good. All right, so remember the hands are turned down a little bit. Okay, so first, you okay right there? Any pain?
No more than before.
Okay, so now we'll just have you close your eyes, and then you guys watch him from front. And so normally we do this 30 to 60 seconds. And so for you, you're trying to see, so Ian, your goal is to figure out for yourself which side is easier and which side is harder. Okay, good. Harry?
Left leg is fighting.
Okay.
going on, all right?
Now we're gonna switch legs. And so now you want to see how does this side compare to the other side? There you go. Okay, good. Right. So for you, which side felt harder or which side felt easier? Doesn't matter which perspective.
They felt about the same.
How did it seem to you? Aaron?
Same leg.
Okay, good. So next, what to do is just stand on one leg, and you're just going to plant that leg, feel like you're comfortable, then bend the other leg. So do not let the legs touch. Remember to hands are turned out a little bit. And then when you're ready, then close your eyes. All right, just open your eyes, okay? I get a sense of how that felt, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So first get in position, and then close your eyes. Cool. And then have that knee back a little bit. There you go. Okay, that's good. So for you, which side felt harder?
Left leg up.
So
So
standing
right
on the
side.
right leg, okay? And Harry, what was your observation?
He's right. I mean, he was a lot more balanced when he was on the left leg.
Okay, so a biomechanical-based approach would simply be, well, I'm going to have him practice standing on his right leg until he gets really good, right? So that'd be kind of like the idea of practicing the skill over and over again. So now what I want you to do is you're going to take your tongue, and you're going to first stick it in your right cheek, and you're going to hum as loud as you can. So the idea is you want to feel a vibration going through, like into your skull. Okay? It's going to seem really weird and hokey, but
The foot thing too,
yeah,
or?
so first what you're going to do, you're going to, because you all saw
You're not
how he
messing
was.
with me.
No, I'm not messing with you. I'm real. This is real science. So you saw how he was on his right foot. So biomechanically, if we had like a skill-based, sort of like the traditional motor learning approach, you like keep practicing that skill and you'll get better. We're not going to practice the skill. We're just going to provide a new input to the nervous system, right? So whatever was going on structurally before, there's no way we can change it that quickly, right? Any damage in the body is still going to be there. So now what we're going to do is, I'm going to have them try one side, I'm going to have them try the other side, I'm going to have them try the center. And then you'll be able to observe, and you'll be able to feel if there's a difference. So it's that straightforward. So you're going to first, eyes open on the right leg, right? Then close your eyes. And then you want to start, so this cheek, right cheek, so tongue in the cheek, and then you're trying to vibrate your whole skull by humming. It's okay, try it again. So how did it feel?
First time it felt more difficult than the second time when I gained balance better.
Yeah. So think about the nervous system. When the body is missing input, the nervous system will compensate. Those compensations result in altered movement, altered neuromuscular control. So we didn't have to buy anything fancy. We didn't have to do any treatment, like with a drug or a supplement or any type of rehab exercise. all I needed him to do was to just vibrate. The idea with the humming is the vibration stimulates nerves that are referred to as cranial nerves. Those cranial nerves provide control for balance and stabilization throughout the rest of the nervous system. So if it didn't work, it doesn't matter to me because we got all these other options. So as an example, try it now with your tongue in the left cheek and do the same thing.
Same way.
Yep, because the right side was definitely more difficult than the left side. So we're looking to see now, can we do something on the spot that improves it? Right, and you see it doesn't take very long. Okay, let's go back to the right side. And then you tell me, how does it feel for you internally, and how you indicate what you observe. It's okay, you can take a break. So one of the things you'll observe is neural fatigue. There's all kinds of ways we can test this in people. One of the areas that are often not thought about with helping anyone to move better is how quickly does the nervous system get tired with the task. So there are simple tools that we could use. So what I was trying to give everyone, I want you to see is, without anything external, we could help someone. I don't need any technology or gadgets. But for those of you that know me well, you know I always have a gadget. So I have quite a bit of technology at my disposal. And so what I first want to, because my intention is to kind of share a lot of information in a short period of time, like if he was a patient in our center, the way that I structure things, we give people the option to kind of rent us by the hour or do a flat fee for the day. Most of the people do a flat fee for the day. We charge $1,400. They come in and we tell them, we'll get you figured out in 1 day. And so many people, after 1 day, will stay up to 3 weeks because the results they got the first day were so impressive, they want to keep going until the end. I'm not saying people have to stay 3 weeks. I think for many people, I could teach them enough, about 2 or 3 hours, that they then could go home and do this stuff on their own. Like so far, anything I showed you that was too hard, like everybody here could do everything I've showed you so far. So there's a lot of new technologies for helping the different areas of the brain communicate better. I'm using, has anyone heard of the Stroop test at all? Does that ring a bell, anyone? So there's a game. It's called Strooper Trooper. This is the Android version. I don't know the name offhand for the iPhone iDevice version, but there's a similar tool. Basically what this tool does is it picks out right away if there's an inability to process things rapidly. So all the test involves 4 colors. So it's blue, red, yellow, green, and the words for the color. So the goal is you have to type what the, let me show you here. Yeah, so basically how to play. I'll make sure he sees it. I'm gonna have him do this test, and then we'll have him do the same drill before. So how to play. So basically, the spelling is green, but the color is red. So you have to see the word, see the color, and then hit the answer would be the color of the word, not the spelling, okay?
So I'm looking for congruence between color and what they're saying.
Yeah, so what'll happen is when you start this, yeah, so if the word is green, but the color of the green word is red, the correct answer would be red. okay? So you're looking at it visually, and you're pressing the answer that represents the color of the word, not what the letters spell out, okay? All right, so then when you're ready to play, just hit the play button. And if you make a mistake, it resets to 0. Your goal is to get to 20, okay? All right, no pressure. All right, now so hit play, okay, and tap me. Okay, no, tap the button to get started. There you go. Now, nope, see what I mean? Is it? Yeah, he failed. Somebody- That's right. Except,
No problem.
Yeah, so here's the
No
thing about
problem.
this. Almost everyone at the beginning, they tap what the letters spell out, even though it was clear what to do. And what that tells you then is they're jumping ahead. They're not taking the visual input, processing it, and doing it, even though they understood it at the beginning. So initially, what that tells us is how biased are we by vision, and that's what that's showing you. So now, as someone does it, you should be able to get past 10. If you can't get to 10, there's some processing going on. After 10 or 20, then the next issue is your ability to maintain focus. So this is the different sort of way we stratify our clients. So someone that comes in on a lot of medications, most of those people on opioids and stuff, they simply can't pay attention long enough. So if they can't pay attention to a simple task, how well are they going to be able to figure out what's going on in their own body? They're never going to get there. So we have to have other tools that help facilitate their ability to improve their internal body awareness. So give it a shot, yeah. There you go. It's okay.
So this form of testing works for basically a well person, or would you use something like this?
I would use this as part of our assessment model for everyone.
Okay.
Because you can't see this type of dysfunction, right? So since we can't see it, it's a screening process. He does it, and most people within a few tries, once you get to 20 or get higher, let me know, okay? Well, after a few tries, this is something you can change rapidly, and then once someone gets there, it's very easy to stay there. So as far as going through this. Then we bring in other tools. While he's doing that, what I want to show everyone is, so you know how I had him humming, right? The idea basically is we're going to use osteoconduction, internal osteoconduction. So all that is when I go, that vibration is being picked up by bones in my skull, and it's getting to the nerves in my skull. So what we could also do, if I wanted to be more scientific about it or more specific, I would take a headphone like this. This is a wired headphone. We also have wireless versions. And these are the osteoconductive types of headphones. Are people familiar with this? So basically, they don't go in the ear, they go on the bones and this, like around the ear. And essentially, this one is like a Bluetooth version, so it doesn't matter to me which tool is used, but as far as limitations, this tool plugs into the the headphone jack of the cell phone. So then he's got to walk around with that. Did you get to? 33, good, excellent. All right, so now,
I'm not special.
so what did you think about the process? Like maybe share with everyone what you felt as you were going through it.
For me, the biggest thing was, as you were describing it, I wasn't getting it, reading it on the screen, and then as soon as I could say in my head of, okay, color, not word, then that was when I could,
Sure.
okay, think
Let's-
color.
Cool. So let's see you stand on your right foot now, but without any humming. All right, just see how it looks?
Closing my eyes.
Yep, please. Okay, good. Good thing, Eric.
It seems that his hips are a lot more stable, his shoulders are the ones that are swaying a
So,
little bit more.
I guess in terms, we probably should have defined a better objective criteria. What I would have simply done is, when someone is put in a unique position, I'm not looking for precise movement. I might do something like, how many times is the opposite toe touch, right? So 3, 5, 7. So if you went from like 7 to 3, we have an
He
objective
didn't
number.
put his toe down there.
Yeah, he did a lot
So-
better.
So from my perspective, he was able to stay up longer. And so we can keep exploring this further and further. And what I wanted just everyone to visually see with your own eyes is that I didn't touch his body, right? All I did was provide a new input to the nervous system. And the research on this is there's a lot of data. One of the things I thought I would maybe share is when I was in med school, when I got into vision, I want to say maybe I got 45 minutes of total lecture time on vision. That's kind of like, these are the eyes, there's these cranial nerves, next, that was done. Now the reality, in terms of all the areas of our body, like different physiological systems, the single largest textbook on any area of our physiological systems is vision. There's over 90,000 pages. There's more known about the eye and the visual aspects of the nervous system and all the hormone data and all this other stuff. Was everybody talking about like testosterone or estrogen? So there's more known about this one area, and it's so dominant in our own way we move and think and so forth, yet there's so little actually taught or communicated about how to use that to our benefit. All right, so let's see now, how does it feel when you go to touch the ground? So remember, think about hip width, and just see how it feels, hip width, not necessarily touching, and just see how does it feel when you touch the ground.
I would say worse.
Worse, okay, good. So now, where does it feel worse on? The right or the left side, or is it just kind of straight across?
Both.
Okay, all right. So what are some things we talked about yesterday that you could do? So let's just say, for argument's sake, back pain's intense. What did we talk about yesterday that you could do to get out of it?
Doing the leg and arm circles.
Yeah, so I would say do a neck circle now, right? So nice and tall, and the starting position would be, there you go. And think about like a string here, and just gradually relaxing here, there you go. And nice and gradually, your goal is to start off with subtle movements, but eventually get as wide a neck circle as you can. So while he's doing that, why do you think he may have more pain? So so a biomechanical view would be he's standing in a position that he doesn't have good stability in, so there's going to be more torque about his lower back, right? Another perspective from a neurology perspective is as our internal body awareness increases, what do you think is going to happen with the signals coming in? It's going to get stronger, right? So now, if we were to say someone has more pain, stop, change, something, we may be missing out on an opportunity to actually help that person. So what I'm looking for is a change. I don't know if it's going to get better or worse until after I work some more with that person, but a change is a good thing. Okay, now try moving and see what you think.
It's better.
So the one thing I observed is how you move now seems faster to me than when we first started. Would other people say that?
Yeah.
So that happens most of the time. So it makes me, it reminded me of some point I wanted to make. So if let's say you're testing me, I'm the subject, and you go, close your eyes and let's just say move as far as you can, right? So I go here, I go as far as I can. So now you do some work on me. Now close your eyes, move as far as you can. I go here. Now you can see I went further. My sense of feel, end range, feels like end range. So my eyes are closed and I go here, that's as far as I can go. Now I close my eyes and I go further, I can't feel 5 degrees or 10 degrees difference, right? All I know is that was as far as I can go. So the reason when I would ask someone, how do you feel, what are you getting from this information? And we contrast that with an external observer's observation, is because ideally they're the same, right? If there's something off, then that gives us a cue, okay, what's going on with this person's internal body awareness. So let's try, let's see, one other thing here. So can you just kind of sit at the edge here a little bit? Sure. Thank you. And what I'd like for you to do is, I want to just see if I can do it from the side. You have this leg straight, and then just how far can you raise it without any pain or unusual discomfort? Like, is that okay?
Yeah, for a short while.
Okay. Well, so come a little bit lower. Like, I want it to be where it should not be stressful. It should be like, yeah, I can do this. Is that okay? All right. So arms relaxed to the side if you can. I know that's not the best position. I want you to make as wide a circle with your toe. Like imagine you have for a foot, you have a paintbrush. You're gonna do a perfect, like Leonardo da Vinci circle, right? So this perfect circle. We're gonna go 10 one way, and then 10 the other. And for you, your goal is to explore your movement and figure out what, how do I get as best neuromuscular control of that foot as I can without looking at it. You cannot look at it. And if, as a matter of fact, close your eyes. And where's your focus right now?
I would say my big toe and the outside of my ankle.
All right. So why is it dangerous for him to focus on the big toe? Because the ankle joint is not in the toe, right? So that means then there could be misinformation going to the brain. So we see this all the time when we're trying to get them to focus on something, they have a slightly imprecise location in the anatomy they're focusing on. So I want you to think about, we're going to do what we call, we're going to give them some sensory input. So as he's doing it, I'm sorry, are you okay?
Very good.
So I'm just going to lightly rub around the ankle joint because I want to provide input so when his eyes are closed, his brain gets a better sensation. I can use my fingers lightly touching, just like rubbing a surface. If he said to me, hey, I don't feel it, and I would rub it, I'd take my knuckles and I want to have a strong input, but I'm not looking to injure him or make him feel uncomfortable. But if he, let's just say, goes, I don't feel anything, for me rubbing his ankle, he's still not aware of his ankle. I could use vibrational tools. There's so many gadgets on the market now. This is one I picked up recently. So all it is, it's kind of like a power tool, but with different physical therapy type attachments. The way we would the way we would use this though is I would have a very light stimulus, right? I'm not looking at it like from a massage therapy approach, like get in and do some soft tissue work. I'm simply looking at it so that you can feel the sensation, right? Now, would you say that it's unpleasant or pleasant if you had to pick two? Like, which way is it?
There's our answer.
Yeah. So here's an important thing. When you're working with people, the expectations I would have as a therapist is I'm doing something that helps them. When I actually work with different bodies, every once in a while, vibration usually feels better. But let's just say, for argument's sake, if I was applying too much force, he's going to feel uncomfortable. You think I'm going to get a good result if I'm shutting him down by inhibiting him? I'm probably not going to get the same result. So I'm looking for ways to improve function in a non-threatening way. All right? So we did the ankle circles there. Let's now have you stand up. And then we did just at one ankle. Let's now have you do your toe touches or touch the ground. Can you tell me if it feels any different on your back?
Right side feels better.
Okay. So we could do the left side as well. What I wanted you to see is, if you notice, we didn't touch his back yet, right? All we did is his cervical spine and then his ankle. And then you see this across the board. You'll find for individuals, there's what they call a high payoff joint. When you have movement around that joint, their whole body feels better. It has nothing to do with the structure. It has to do with a positive input to the nervous system. And let me show you sort of like an algorithm of how you would look at stuff. Would you mind facing that way? And let's see, so can most of you guys, or at least people in the center, kind of see? So like essentially, let's just say if I had to put my hands, would you say the pain is right here, or is it somewhere else?
Right about there.
Okay, so what I would have someone do is just, I want you to slowly kind of touch the ground and come back up. Just do it like 2 times. And what I want you to kind of get a sense of is, where does it feel stiff and achy or hurt the most? You have a sense of it?
Taking it on the left side.
Okay. So an old school approach would be to to apply stimulus of some kind, doesn't matter, it could be heat, it could be vibration, it could be light, apply it right here. So we're going to try this now. So I want it to be, come out the side, to be light enough to feel it, but not hard enough where it's disturbing or uncomfortable. Okay? Now try to bend, touch the ground. I'm trying to touch her, but I can't see, and I think I came off of him a few times. Okay. So could you share with everyone what your feeling is?
Significant improvement.
Okay, so here's the thing now. There's nociceptors at the local site that send pain signals to the nervous system. I've only done one area. So what I don't know at this point, is this a local, regional issue? Is this the same side of the brain issue, or is this a system-wide effect? So the way I would now, my algorithm would be, I'm going to do the same thing, and now I'm going to put it on his calf. Okay.
About the same, not as big as improvement when it was direct. Probably important. This is why it's so frustrating. As soon as you did that on the left side, I could feel more on the right side now. So
Sure.
the left side started to feel better, and then I became cognizant on the right side.
Okay. So the algorithm would be, I start local, he says he feels better, I then go same side at a more distal location. And then what I would say, well, let me see if it's more of a neural effect. Since he's got pain on both sides, it's going to be somewhat of a challenge to kind of isolate any one side, because no matter where I touch him, I'm going to affect the other side or something. But let's just see now, let's do the same thing. So I didn't touch his right side, basically. Let's just do his right calf. Do the same thing now.
It improves.
Yeah. So here's what I wanted you guys to visually see. You don't have to touch the damaged area to have a positive influence, right? So the threat to the nervous system is interpreted around the whole body. So while there could be structural damage at a given location, the signals from there get into the nervous system and make their way around the whole body. So if I have someone that is in so much pain they can't move, we could help them move without pain by not even touching that area or seeing an X-ray or MRI. We could work on, let's say, a calf. Now, when thank you very much. There's one other thing I want to kind of share, if you don't mind, right here. So let's see, easiest way to do this, maybe let's see, I guess have you stand where you are, feet about hip width, hands out in front of you. Okay, so my goal is to kind of quantify how minimal force I could use. You want to stay straight, I'm going to push you one way or the other. I'm going to try to do it from the side so everybody can see. Normally I would be in front of them. It's like I would normally, kind of do it this way. I guess you can. So your goal is to feel for yourself which side is weaker, okay? So just a little bit of force around the wrist. I'm seeing, can you resist it? Feels pretty good. My goal is not to overpower, but just kind of get a sense of which way, okay? Now, could you feel a difference from your side?
Right side is weaker.
So right side is weaker, okay? So if I wanted to provide a stronger input for the brain, that's the area that's controlling that, one option would be, let's see here. We could just provide a little bit of loading for stability on that side. So what I'd like you to try to do is, we're going to have this on the foot there. That's going to wind up over here. If it's easier to step into it, you can. If not, I'll give you a little bit of help, so I don't want it to slip off you. So can you feel that tension now?
Yes.
Okay. So now, let's do the same thing. Okay. So now hands. So we're going to check both ways. Okay. Check the other way. Okay. So now we're going to do, take the band off. And now let's put it on the other leg.
Strangely, I do expect that. That side was going to be weaker.
Oh, yeah?
Anybody get nervous?
All right, same thing. What do you think?
I think they improved a little bit on this side, but the right side's still clearly weaker.
So let's try if we can. Let's get it across here.
Oh, yeah, that felt awesome.
All right. Now let's give it a shot. What do you think?
I don't think that would improve this
Okay,
much.
let's try the other side. So essentially what I'm looking for is a way to provide a stronger stimulation to his nervous system with the band. So what do you think?
I think it's still strongest when it was left
Yeah.
side, straight up,
I
straight
agree.
down.
Sure. Okay, so let's come back there. So now this is how I would bias his training. I would have him do so basically single side training or unilateral training. I would have him put a band here and he would be doing things with his left side. Now why, I'm sorry, his right side, that was my mistake. So his right side, and the reason is it'll help enhance stability on the left side. I would bias his training for a 1 to 3 week period, so let's say 2 week average. He only does the left side. And then at the end of that time period, his overall body strength will be greater because we've enhanced his overall stability. So essentially what we're trying to do is wake up this part of his nervous system to stabilize the spine, if you will. So see, we didn't touch anything in his back, right? What we're looking for is signal inputs to the spine. So one way we would test it then, we could just have him do like a dumbbell press. So I can take the band off and do one arm dumbbell press. Let's say like, we're not looking to crush him, but let's just say what's a weight you would handle for 10 reps?
45 pounds.
Right, so now I would say 45 pounds 3 times. So he's not going to max failure or anything like that, but he knows he can do it easily. I put the band on, have him do his 3 reps. I'm sorry, no band, 3 reps, put the band on 3 reps. And he gets to test for himself if he feels like he's more stable. Over a period of time, the body will adapt. He won't need the band anymore, and then he'll be more stable on that one side. So let's take this off. All right. Let's see how you do with your toe touches now.
I definitely feel more confident in my movement, that they're better and faster. Pain's still there, but I feel more confident going out to the ground. Like before, I was afraid that I was going to injure myself.
Sure.
Feel
So that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. So when anyone that's ever had serious pain, there's that pain memory is stored in the body. So what's going to happen anytime they have to do a movement that they got hurt in, say like a deadlift or a clean or a snatch. So anytime they have to basically flex at the waist and try to grab something, there's that what if it happens again. So that fear, it interferes with their movement quality. So one of the first things I said, when we talked about yesterday, is first, pain-free rep, because once we get rid of pain, we then to address the psychological aspects of fear and movement. So has anyone ever heard of Dr. Sarno's work? So Dr. Sarno is a guy, he's an MD, has a series of books written about treating back pain, just from the mind. Basically, his thinking is that pain is more of a memory, it's more a psychological issue than it is the physical damage. And there's some good data that supports it. What I would take beyond with Dr. Sarno is that it's the same body, it's the same nervous system. So we teach it like psychology and neurology and biomechanics. It's the same body. The body doesn't say, oh, it's my mind, it's my spine. The body does it all together at once, it integrates it. So we want to look at all of this as something that's always happening all the time, and then utilize the various tools that we have. So what I'd like to do next is something with this stability ball. So one of the ways you get someone's spine to feel more comfortable is you provide sort of like we call it the artificial stability. So one of the ways you communicate stability to the cerebellum is just by contact. So if, let's say, I'm unstable, so biomechanically, I have no labrum in either hip, I have no medial meniscus in either knee. Most orthopedic surgeons would say, when they look at an MRI of my hip, it no longer qualifies to be called a joint, because there's no capsule, there's no cartilage, there's a lot of missing components. So when you have someone with that sort of dysfunction, the way you communicate stability to cerebellum, just touching something that's solid. So right away from there, biomechanically you have another counterforce, right? But neurally now, you have the ability to dedicate your resources to whatever task it is that you want to do. So we can take those same principles for the spine. Let's say, all right, so first we're going to do some breathing exercises. So the breathing exercise is first, just do 3 deep breaths. I want everyone to look at how he breathes. So arms relaxed aside. Breathe in as much as you can. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, now breathe out as much as you can. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay. So any observations? Would you say, people in the front, was there a lot of movement, minimal movement? So most time people in pain don't have as much motion because there's inhibitory mechanisms at work. So they're guarded, they're tight. Do you think your lungs are going to expand fully if you're tight? There's no room because the muscles around the lungs are holding them in. It's like trying to pump up a balloon, but you got a cage around it that's stopping it from filling up. So some of the first things we'll look at is first, can we help improve quality of breathing just standing before we take them down onto a ball or something? And there's so many ways that we could do this. So one way would be like first, just flex or laterally flex away. Now take a really deep breath in as much as you can. So what you should feel is a lot of stretching in here. Stretching in more than you would normally feel. Is that a yes?
Not yet.
Okay, all right.
That breath I feel more.
Okay, so I want you to try to keep imagining more air going in, and this side be able to stretch out. Okay, and when you're ready, just go the other way. So you're going to take a nice deep breath in, and you should feel that left side really expand. And the reason why we do this is because most people have never felt a sensation of that part of their body expanding as much. So what we're doing is we're biomechanically influencing his position. So now the only room he has is on the side we're trying to challenge. Now come back up. So did you kind of get a sense of how things expand more?
Yes.
Now taking that information, I want you to try to make now your body expand as much as you felt on either side before. Because now you have the sensation.
I can do it to the left side, but I can't do it to the right side.
And those are common things that people say is like, wow, it's easier here than here. And so if you've never done it, you wouldn't even know there's that discrepancy, right? So we're going to just kind of brush ahead a little bit. What I'd like for you to do is maybe do a couple of toe touches. Just get qualitatively, how's it feel?
About the same.
Okay, good. So now what I want you to do is kind of sit on the ball, and you're going to gradually walk forward. So you have like, well, I was going to say maybe you're facing that way. Sorry, I was not clear. And just walk forward a little bit. You're going to be laying on the ball horizontally with your feet. Yep, nice and easy. Okay, that's pretty good. And then can you have your arms rotate out a little bit? There you go. So what I'd like for you to do is first lift your head up a little bit. There you go. So take some deep breaths in. And as you breathe out, I want you to relax and slowly lower your head down. And push your hips up. There you go. So keep basically trying to keep the glutes firing while you're taking these nice deep breaths and learning how to relax. And you'll know you're relaxing because your fingertips should touch the ground. Okay. If you feel like there's a lot of pressure around your head or your eyes, just lift the head up a little bit. There you go. So what we're doing now is we're providing support for the spine, and we're giving him an opportunity to really expand the sensations around the spine just from breathing. It's common for people to get a lot of blood flow to their head because their head is going to get below their sort of center of mass of their hips or something. So then the way we correct it, just raise the head up a little bit if you start to get dizzy or uncomfortable. We don't want them fainting or getting in stress, right? Right? And maybe slowly come back up. Just make sure you're okay, that you're not dizzy or anything. Right, and we'll come back up and then just see how it feels now when you touch the ground.
Each time, I would say, is faster.
Yeah. But do you feel better relatively from breathing on the ball, or would you say breathing standing?
On the ball,
Yeah, that's very common that people would say, I got some pain, and we focus on his back because that's his particular concern, but it happens even, think of it this way. If I'm tight, no matter where I have damage, it's going to hurt, right? So if it's in my back, I'm going to have back pain. If it's in my knee, I'm going to have knee pain. If it's in my hip, I'm going to have hip pain. So one of the things we're trying to do here is teach him, well, we know when people can breathe better, there's an overall relaxation response. So this is where like there's some sort of conflict between like, years ago, like some of the yoga, Tai Chi, and some of these different, let's say like martial artist type masters, they would talk about breathing for weight loss or breathing for strength and all these things. And an exercise physiologist would study and go, there's no way breathing can help you lose weight faster. There's no way breathing can help make you stronger. But they were studying it in a very different context and ignoring a lot of stuff on the neurology side. So that reminds me of a quick question, okay? So where does fat go when we lose it? But where does it go? I mean, so you had this mass, the mass is not there. Where did it go?
Burn it.
Okay, you burn it, but what form does it leave the body?
Gas.
Yeah, gas. Right. So ultimately, the fat is burned and becomes a gas we exhale. So I mention that because once you're aware of this stuff, then the biochemistry, the physiology starts to make more sense as far as like where's this stuff going. Okay? So thank you very much for being a model. There's one thing I did want to try though. Maybe if you come back up. So, sorry, as like so fake. You're done.
Can't get enough.
Encore.
That's right. Encore performance. So what I want you guys to see some other technologies that are out there. So there's lots of cool, let's just say brain-based or neurology-based tools. I'm untangling this cord, and what I'm going to do is this is so basically this is what's called a pulse generator. This is an app that anyone can get for a phone and just generates a simple frequency, okay? And what we do is we find the frequency that's specific for that person that helps them move pain-free. And we also have to find which side of the brain or which ear to put it in.
Is that like vibration?
Well, it's kind of in the same direction, but there's a lot more precise. So when you're humming and using like some sort of osteoconductive thing, this is like levels above that. Because
That the guy that does a certain sound wave.
So this app is called Tone Pacer Pro. It's developed by a chiropractic neurologist. It's about $50. I don't recommend people get it. I think there's now better options than what this one is here. So basically, I'm going to give you the controls because I can't feel what you're feeling, right? So what we're going to do is first make sure it's working. Okay, good, it's working. And then when you put this on, so let's see. So it's going to go, see how it goes right outside, ready to go. Yes. And so I have it set up at 100 hertz, at 50 beats per minute. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to have it set so it should be left ear playing. can you hear it? It should be loud enough you hear it, but, okay, hold on a second. Right here? Okay. All right, so maybe figure out a way to put this in a pocket or something that doesn't interfere with motion. And just have you walk back. And then when you come back, let's do some toe touches and see if it makes a difference. So it's right here, you said?
Right
Yeah,
here.
so basically, I'm providing a single frequency tone at a pace of 50 times a minute in his right ear. And so that's going to basically go to the right, to the side of his brain that's controlling sensory neural function for the right ear. Now, if in a clinic, one of the ways that, you know how you, okay? I'll see how you maybe face it once, how you move. And then you tell us what you see or feel, if it's easier, harder. Can you feel the vibration without the buzzing?
Yep.
Okay.
It's definitely the easiest. It's been all
Okay.
that.
Yeah. So one frequency, and literally it's that quick with someone. So it doesn't take months of training. It doesn't take lots of drugs. 3 to 6 months on the spot, you can produce a result. There's thousands of these things that we can do for people. So for me to do like a full eval on someone, it may take 80 hours or more. No one's going to sit through this for 80 hours. So what we do is we make it entertaining, make it fun. Everyone's laughing at our clinic. None of the doctors wear lab coats because I think it's too like kind of fake and artificial. I think when people come in, they should feel like they're around people, not in a clinic that's cold and kind of like stuffy, but like they're going to go somewhere to have fun. Because we know when people have fun, they heal faster. So it's kind of the model, if you will. So now what I would have him do, so now let's look at all the different things we've done. So this is called stacking. So one, I could just watch how he moves, and I'll know if something works. So issue is back pain. Would you mind just walking down and back? So I would look for dead space between his arms and his legs. So basically the dead space is as he's moving, is there one side closer to the other? So I'm looking through his body, not at his body, because it's a faster way to get a visual impact of someone. If I see his gait is improving, and I did not give him any cues of any kind, I know we're going in the right direction. Then the reason why I do a test, the retest stuff, is for him, because he's not going to feel the gait improve. But let's have some fun, right? So first, let's turn it off. And maybe, yeah, let's take it off. So stacking, by the way, would be we do all this stuff at one time to someone. And that's when you see really cool stuff. So what you do is walk down and back. You're just going to keep walking down and back. Sure. And so now, as you're walking, I want you to count, I want you to say, count backwards by threes from 100. So 100.
100, 97, 94, 91,
Keep doing it.
85, 81, 79, 76, 73,
Maybe stop
70.
there. So anyone notice some changes? Who just
It
noticed?
was faster.
Okay. Anything else? So here's some things. So the areas of the brain that process and let's say do the counting out loud, that's different than the areas of the brain that control walking. So when we do something, this is called dual tasking. So I'm asking him to walk, that's one task. At the same time, answer some question or mathematical question repeatedly. When there's some change, what that tells me that this person's had a lot of chronic pain for a long enough period of time that it's in his frontal lobe. In other words, he's thinking about it. So his gait is more planned out, right? Because he doesn't want to feel pain again. So part of we have to, in terms of improving his quality of motion, right? We got to get his, he shouldn't be thinking about how he walks, right? Because like your heart beating, your walking is autonomic. It's not like, what do I do before I step next, right? That's not how it goes. It should be like you could walk and talk at the same time. And to give you maybe like an ultimate example, imagine a basketball player. This guy's NBA All-Star, you know, he's playing for a championship game. Does he look at the ball as he's going down the court? No. He's looking around. His peripheral vision is keeping the ball in contact with his hand. but we have the ability to do multiple things at once in a coordinated way. But whenever people have pain, that changes. That's all gets broken apart, and now we start focusing our resources on that one thing. So, some
Definitely why I can't dance.
Okay. So now, let's see, try touching now and see if it's worse, the same.
I would say about the same as when I had the headset.
Okay, good. So what I was looking for there is how long does it last? Right, so we do something that works, is that gonna last for a minute, a day, a year? We don't know because I'm not around people that much time to see long-term what's going on. But my goal is to figure out tools and things that this person can do that they could go off on their own and continue to do it, so they're not dependent on me or the other professionals at the facility. So yeah, analogy, give a man a fish versus teach a man to fish. So what we're basically trying to do is teach people on their own how to get out of pain. Once they're out of pain, then whoever their local coaching resources are can work with their biomechanics or the other stuff. And then typically what you see is their skill acquisition is so much better. Because if you don't have pain, you move way better than when you're in pain. Thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
But they're still compensating, could you use the dual tasking just to help trying to distract them from their gait that they reacted to pain?
So I'm not sure what the question is, sorry.
So the dual tasking you said you did to help with their pain, could you use that to fix like the compensatory issue with the gait that the adaptive because of the pain wasn't on?
Yeah, so I guess, so it's kind of like where you go, right? So there's no sort of, there's a lot of roads to successful end result. Like in a perfect world, we want every system in the human's body to function optimally, right? But how we get there is going to vary from person to person because we don't have the same genomics or genetics, we don't have the same microbiome, we don't have the same history. So there's a lot of potential. And what I want you guys to think about is there's no necessarily right or wrong way. That's an old way of looking at it. We have all these resources and tools, and I'm going to try something. If he says, I feel worse, if he says it's not helping me, I'm going to just try something else. Now, as we fix one thing, so the reason why I did the dual tasking is because we just know from doing this to lots of people that their gait changes. And what I want everyone to see is that, remember, it's a back pain case. I saw no x-ray, no MRI, right? But we can improve stuff without knowing that. So now keep in mind, I'm not doing surgery, right? I'm not recommending any prescription drugs. I'm just simply on the spot, kind of following the model of last night. I can always go to someone and say, hey, I'm here for you, right? So we always have the ability to do something. And if we try something, I didn't jump them into we're not going into a full snatch or a heavy squat. We're just doing walking, right? We're doing basic things that people should be able to do. And in his case, we would start looking at other things that we could do. So the end result, a really healthy walk or healthy gait, pain-free motion in every movement that he wants to do. So we could go a lot of different directions with it. I hope that was good enough to answer your question. Any other questions? No? All right, so everybody's gonna go out and do the stuff right now?
So Dr. Tom, if you if you reach a milestone with something like that, let's say stage 1, you tried something, it hurt or didn't work.
Yep.
Right? Then you progress, let's just say segment A, milestone A.
Mm-hmm.
Could that thing that you tested previously now work?
Yeah, so there's this thing called order effect. So order effect would be let's say, take a back squat. So imagine, the heaviest weight you ever lifted in your life. You come in, we have that weight on the bar, and you go right into that weight, and you try to lift it. Would you think you might have some knee pain, ankle pain, hip pain, spine pain, right? But now we took the same weight, instead of you throw it on top of you right away, maybe you do a warm up with a bar. And then we progressively go 45s or something to get to your 10 plates on each end load or whatever you're gonna do. Now the same load doesn't bother. So the order effect from there is we warmed you up and then we did the heavy load. In therapy, you have a similar thing that is almost never considered. So I literally could have maybe put him right on the stability ball and his spine would have been like, oh my God, my back's on fire. And because it was maybe too much too soon. So the way I would sort of preempt that or try to prevent that is I find out, is he comfortable? So no matter what I'm gonna do, when I have him sit here, are you comfortable? If he says, no, this is bothering